Streets of Rage is one of the defining gaming experiences to me. At a time when the SNES was making headway in the beat-em-up genre, with the okayish but ultimately pretty badly stripped back conversions of Capcom's Final Fight, Sega looked to step into the fray with their own offering, Streets of Rage. Created by Yuzo Koshiro's Ancient, it was a game that really took the fight to Capcom's boy, clipping it round the ear with fun gameplay, neat ideas, and hosting the type of two-player action that Final Fight on the SNES could only dream of with its 3 enemy characters on screen limitations. Then there was Yuzo Koshiro's soundtrack, which really needs no introduction, well regarded as one of the greatest soundtracks of all time even to this day. Streets of Rage 1 was the perfect starting block to push on, and the rest of the series built on it accordingly, and even incredibly, especially in the form of the legendary Streets of Rage 2, which went bigger and better in every area and became the game that many still regard as the greatest beat-em-up ever created. And although I enjoyed Streets of Rage 3, even despite its shortcomings as well as the rather odd European release, with edited content and garish recolorings of the characters, Streets of Rage 2 would have to be the game to hang my hat on and call home. It was a game changer, and I've loved it ever since. But then, we end up in the abyss. After Streets of Rage 3, there was nothing. Saturn came and went, then the Dreamcast, and despite the odd story of what could have been, discarded tech demos, and even a proposed but ultimately rejected reboot on the Xbox 360 and PS3, Streets of Rage was MIA, legally dead if current definitions are anything to go by. So imagine my surprise after 26 years to be sitting here today, with the literal phoenix of a game in my possession, having risen from the ashes of long discarded Sega IPs. After so many years where time had lent such enchantment to the view, could Streets of Rage 4 really be up to the gargantuan task of filling the shoes of its predecessors? There's only one way to find out. Well, I'll cut right to the chase. Yes. Yes, it can. In fact, even though I'm an aging gamer longing for the joy of yesteryear while viewing everything through boomer vision, I assure you this is an awesome game. While some of my AAA playing cohorts may consider me a madman, I'd say this is one of my favourite games of this newfangled yet closing PS4 generation, and I've put way more time into its two-dimensional lights than I have most of the big hitters of the past 6 years, and I ain't stopping anytime soon. But enough of my personal witterings. Let's crank it up past 11. I'm moving it to 12. Time's getting on. I won't be long. It's time for us to delve. So pray tell, what is it that could be so awry in the city that it could drag the old guard out of retirement? Well, Streets of Rage 4's story does actually take a novel approach that breaks out of the usual beat-em-up shackles into territory I've not heard before. Nobody's been kidnapped, and from what I can tell, nobody's parents have been murdered either. but that doesn't mean what's on offer isn't even more ludicrous. But in a good way, of course. What Streets of Rage 4's story does focus on is the antics of the Y twins, Mr. X's siblings who have taken over the family business after the demise of their old man. Their plan to take over the city involves brainwashing people through the use of music, and is told through a variety of stills that break up each stage, moving the narrative along nicely and ensuring you have a vague idea of why you're plastering posterior all over the walls at the next location. The assorted band of battlers are of course comprised of series staples Axel and Blaze, slightly more mature than we once knew them, but certainly still in their fine punishing prime. In fact, despite the 26 years that have elapsed, in Streets of Rage land, only 10 years have passed, and as a result, Blaze can still pop on her trademark miniskirt and get the boys hot under the collar without them having to worry a set of dentures might fly out and clip them upside the head if she were to throw out a particularly enthusiastic fireball. Where are you? On top of our veterans, we have series newcomers, starting with the offspring of Adam Hunter, Cherry Hunter, the guitar-wielding whippersnapper who harks back to the quick and agile dashing combos of previous youngster Skate. And at the other end of the spectrum, you have the meandering mountain that is Floyd, the slow yet stacked component of the team that's somewhat of a fusion of the plodding, power punching and grappling of Max, while adding some of the electrocution related shenanigans of Dr. Zan. All in all, a rounded team that should be able to fulfill the needs of any player picking pugilist, whatever style of character they're looking for. Now this is just your stock team, but this is all just the tip of the iceberg, because there are plenty of other unlockable characters on offer, spanning all the different versions of Streets of Rage displayed in their original pixelated glory for the ultimate in retro throwbacks. I'm also pretty sure that this will be an area that's expanded upon in time with additional characters, if the rumours are to be believed, so I'm looking forward to who might be thrown into the mix in the future. The game opens in your usual starting location of the neon-drenched streets of Wood Oak City, with some familiar faces lining up to assault you for even daring to be in their neck of the woods, some more fondly remembered than others. Man, I cannot stand that knife guy. It's here that you get your first taste of the gameplay that's on offer, and to a veteran player, the lay of the land is very much as I remembered it from long, long ago. But nip beneath the surface, and there's a little more going on under the hood than may meet the eye. For starters, there are combo counters. As a Street Fighter fan, I like where this is going. Linking attacks in quick succession keeps things fast and frantic, and I like the option of having further goals in game to strive for, if that's your cup of tea. Then there are also very distinct juggles that can now be performed, effectively launching enemies into the air and still being able to hit them in various ways to keep the attack going in interesting and satisfying manners. Perhaps most notable, however, there are also now super moves, or star moves as the game calls them, performed by having these stars in stock under your life bar, and which you can expand upon by finding more stars dotted around the levels. This is your ultimate get off me move, which can effectively nuke or pulverize your assailants in a variety of ways depending on the character you're using. Now if you're thinking this all sounds a little Street Fighter, you'd be right, as the developers at Dotemu, Lizard Cube and Dragon Crush have made no secret of the influence that Capcom's classic series has had on the game. And as a big Street Fighter fan, while I could take or leave the star moves, I feel that the way they have implemented the comboing abilities into the classic Streets of Rage formula really agrees with me, and pushes the gameplay on, ensuring the game's not just treading old ground but successfully building on it. Graphically, I'm down with the new style. A lot was made of it when it was first shown, with as many negative as there were positive comments to begin with, and I'll hold my hands up and say I was wondering how I'd feel about it once I got hands on, but it's won me over big time. The characters are bold and nicely drawn, and the light sourcing on the characters and environments really put you there in the moment at the scenes throughout the game. And perhaps as a testament to the job the artists have done, complaints about the chosen style seem to have all but vanished in discussions about the game through various threads and forums online. I guess when you have gameplay this good, and artists who can implement stuff like the car, which was originally envisioned by the original developers for Streets of Rage 2, then mild niggles have tended to fall by the wayside. But I think it looks great anyway. Wait, they've given the knife guy an even longer knife? Mate, you've got to be kidding. Anyway, sound is an obvious area for renown for Streets of Rage, and 4 is no slouch here. While Yuzo Koshiro hasn't single-handedly dealt with proceedings this time, he has brought several high-quality offerings to the table. The opening stage and final boss battles are particularly notable, and the staff roll is also so flavoured with Streets of Rage spices that you can almost taste the 90s. Add to this several other quality compositions from France-based Olivier de Rivière, which I hope I pronounced right, and whose excellent work brings plenty of delicacies to the delectable audio banquet. And all in all, fans from years gone by need not worry about this side of the game, because that's been handled right. But surely it can't be all sunshine and rainbows, can it? Well, actually, for me, it really is. Excellent gameplay, nice graphics, awesome sound, it's all here. Add to that 2-player co-op, unique attacks with a buddy, online play and leaderboards, and one of the coolest Easter eggs I've seen in my life, and what's not to love? Okay, I got something, and this is a stretch here, but if there's something I wouldn't mind seeing added to the game, it's that I have a hankering for hidden items. The way you would find hidden lives dotted around the various stages in Streets of Rage 2. I want those back. I spent a long time searching for those during my first dozen playthroughs before realising they're not there. Or maybe they are, and that's all part of the challenge. I better check just one more time. And so overall, is this game a worthy successor and deserving of its place in Streets of Rage canon? Well, if you can't tell, it's a resounding yes from me. If I could have told myself after having long given up on one of the biggest games of my youth returning for another crack of the whip, that in 2020 I would be playing a new Streets of Rage game, I would barely believe it. And even though the passing of time and the responsibilities of life might have taken away a lot of the guys I would have otherwise been playing the game with, memories still remain. And to some extent, at points, I can definitely still feel them in this game. I guess I'm not that youngster anymore, but it's all good. Maybe it's time to make some new memories.